Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whoever you're joining me. And today's chapter is chapter 42. We're going to dive straight in. In the previous chapter, the Alter Rebbe explained that the fear of God is prerequisite to divine service. Every Jew is capable of attaining this level by contemplating how God stands over him or her and searching his or her reins and heart to see if he is serving him as is fitting. Sorry about the background noise. This thought will lead him to bring forth at least in some measure of fear in his mind. This in turn will enable him to study Torah properly as well as to perform the positive and negative commandments. And now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee but to fear the Lord thy God? The Gemara asks, is fear such a small thing? And the Gemara replies, yes, in the case of Moses it was a small thing and so forth. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain that the answer of the Gemara, and in the case of Moses, it's a simple thing, does not refer to Moses alone, but to the Moses found in every Jew. But Moses imbues all Jews with a level of dat, literally knowledge, enabling them to bind their own faculty of dat to godliness. It's concerning this level of Moses found in every Jew that a statement is made. In the case of Moses, it's a simple thing. But when the Jew utilizes the power of Moses found within him, and when he binds his dat with godliness, then the fear of God is indeed a simple thing and easy to attain, as shall presently be explained. However, the essence of knowledge is not the knowing alone. Now, people should know the greatness of God from authors and books, but the essential thing is to immerse one's mind deeply into the greatness of God and fix one's thought on God with all strength and vigor of the heart and mind, until his thought shall be bound to God with a strong and mighty bond, as is bound to a material thing that he sees with his physical eyes and concentrates his thought on it. For it is known that dat connotes union, as in the phrase, and Adam Yada knew Eve. First is the wearing of the flesh, the crushing of the body and its submission, and it cannot obscure the light of the soul, as has been mentioned above in the name of the Zohar, that a body into which the light of the soul does not penetrate should be crushed, which is accomplished by means of penitential reflections from the depth of the heart, as explained there. Nevertheless, by dint of forceful effort, when his thought greatly exerts itself with much vigor and toil and intense concentration, immersing in the contemplation of the greatness of God for a considerable time, there will certainly come to him at any rate the lower fear referred to above. And as Rabbi Blessed may have said, if a man says, I've labored and I have found, believe him. This means in the manner of a man seeking a hidden treasure or wealth buried beneath the depths of the earth, for which he digs with tireless toil. So one must delve with unflagging energy in order to bring to light the treasure of the fear of heaven, which lies buried and concealed in the understanding of the heart of every Jewish individual. This being of the quality and level transcending the limitation of time, and this is the natural hidden fear referred to above. And although he has no bodily likeness, yet on the contrary, everything is revealed and known to him infinitely more, for example, through the medium of physical sight or hearing. It is by way of illustration a man knows and feels within himself all that is happening to have been experienced by each and all of his 248 organs, such as cold and heat, feeling the heat even in his toenails, for example, when he is scorched by fire, and also their essence and substance and all that is done to them. He knows and senses in his brain, just as a shepherd provides nourishment for his sheep, thereby supplying them with vitality, so too do the 7 shepherds sustain Jewish souls with vitality and godliness, each from his own spiritual level. Abraham provides the Jews with the spiritual faculty of chesed, love, and so forth. Hasidim relate that the Alter Rebbe pondered, considered a number of weeks, whether he should write that the 7 shepherds provide godly vitality, chekus elokis, or whether he should write vitality and godliness, chekus helokus. There's a difference there. He finally adopted to write the latter, vitality and godliness, for vitality refers to love and fear of God, since it is they that vitalize one's performance of the Torah and Mitzvah. Godliness refers to self-notification before God. The 7 shepherds then cause both vitality and godliness to flow into Jewish souls, as explained in chapter 2 above. God's knowledge and man's are utterly dissimilar. On the human plane, the knower, the faculty of knowledge, and that which is known are 3 distinct separate entities. However, concerning God, he is the knowledge, he is the knower, and he is that which is known. Thus, supernal knowledge is one with him, and it is within this level of that Moses' soul is rooted. When a Jew receives a capacity for that from the soul of Moses, he is able to perceive godliness in a true knowing and internalized manner, so that he actually experiences him. Utilizing this capacity enables every Jew to know and feel how God stands over him and sees the action. It is therefore easy for him to summon up within himself a fear of God. However, all the above refers to the luminary aspect of Moses, which is received by every Jew. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to say that there's an even higher level of Moses, a spark of Moses' soul that is bestowed upon the spiritual leaders and sages of each generation. A spark that's an actual part of the flame, unlike rays of illumination, which are not truly part of the luminary. So too, the sparks of Moses found within the leaders and scholars throughout the generation are a part of Moses' soul. The task of these leaders is to teach God's greatness to the Jewish people so that they will serve God with all their heart. When one does so, he is mightily bound up with the object of his thoughts and is unable to free himself from them. Thinking about God and his greatness should be done in the self-same, all-absorbing manner, and then by the thinker will truly be bound with him. As written in the Schneur, section 1, that when a man reflects that the great King, the supreme King of kings, the holy and blessed be he, with whose glory the whole world is filled, stands over him and sees actually will immediately be overcome with fear. And as the Schneur concludes, he will be humbled and abashed before God. This is true of one whose soul is naturally refined. He is immediately overcome with fear without great effort or time required on his part, i.e., only expending a great amount of effort by contemplating godliness for a long stretch of time. Will it be able to secure a degree of godly illumination and conceptualize the notion of godliness? Only then will this contemplation penetrate to the person who will be fearful of God. The question now arises, if this fear is natural and is always found within the Jewish heart, why then is it necessary to take the measures involved in profound contemplation of God's greatness in order to attain it? The Alter Rebbe therefore goes on to say that since this fear is found in the recesses of the heart, it does not affect one's actions and enable him to refrain from sinning. It is thus necessary to take steps that will reveal this fear and ensure that it will affect one's actual deeds. When we say that God does not possess any bodily likeness, we mean that he is not bounded by the frailties of a physical body. A physical eye can observe corporality, but not spirituality. It can only see when there is adequate light, and only up to a given distance, and so on. Physical hearing is likewise limited. God's seeing and hearing, however, possess only the merits of these faculties, but none of their physical limitations. For it goes without saying that any quality possessed by created beings is surely possessed by their creator. However, God provides creation with life in a different manner than the manner in which the soul provides to the body. The soul must garb itself in the body in order to provide it with life. By doing so, it is affected by the body, for clothing implies that the clothed object undergoes a change. God, however, is, of course, not subject to change when he provides life to creation. Hence, the question arises, is attaining fear of God such an easy thing that the verse says only to fear him? The answer is given. For Moses, it is a simple matter. It is difficult to comprehend, for the verse speaks of what God demands of you, of every Jew. Explanation is as follows. The verse is referring here to a level of fear which is indeed simple for every Jew to reach, that level of fear that leads one to walk in his ways. As mentioned earlier, all Jews possess a hidden treasure of the fear of heaven in their heart. Through the faculty of that, this fear of heaven is revealed and felt in one's thought and also affects his speech and action. In describing earlier the fear a Jew should possess for God, the Alter Rebbe said that it should be similar to the fear when one stands before king, for God is omnipresent and observes all man's actions. The question arises, when one stands before a king, he is not only seen by the king, but he is also looking at him, and this helps him to stand in fear of him. In the analogy, however, this is not the case. Though God the king sees him, he fails to see God. The Alter Rebbe will now respond to this question by saying that there is yet another means by which an individual may awaken within himself the fear of God, by being able to see the king, by observing heaven and earth, all created beings that inhabit them, and realize that they all derive their life from God. He will have fear of him. The Alter Rebbe will now say that by looking at heaven and earth, one not only becomes aware of their godly vitalizing force, but also perceives how the world and all its inhabitants are truly nullified to the divine life force. This can be perceived by observing the stars and planets, all of which travel in a westerly direction. In doing so, they express an application to Shekhinah divine presence, which is in the west. I hope this made sense. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the chat box, and please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you a very good week and a Shana Tova. All the best. Bye.